Welcome back to the deep dive. It is really good to have you here with us today. Usually when we sit down at these microphones, we're looking outward. We're dissecting a new piece of technology, or we're unpacking some complex geopolitical shift, or maybe we're looking at a historical event that changed everything. We spend a lot of time analyzing the world out there.
That's absolutely true. We love systems. We love getting into the mechanics of something,
Yeah.
understanding how the big machine works.
But today we are doing something a little different. We are turning the lens, a full 180 degrees. We are looking inward. We are going to look at a system that is running in the background of your own operating system, probably right now. It's a script that executes maybe 10, 20, I don't know, 30 times a day, often without you even realizing it.
It really is. It's the invisible software of social interaction.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is one of those topics where, on the surface, it looks so small. It looks like a minor interpersonal quirk.
Right.
But the more you pull at the thread, and we are really going to pull at the thread today, the more you realize it's actually stitching together your entire reality.
Your entire reality. What do you mean by that?
I mean, your career, your relationships, your energy levels, your actual sense of self. It's all tied up in this one single mechanic.
So the source we're unpacking today is titled The Anatomy of Fearful Agreement. Specifically, we are diving into excerpts from a piece called QofeBreak 17. And I have to be honest with you, when I first saw that title, The Anatomy of Fearful Agreement, I had this kind of knee-jerk reaction.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
I thought, okay, agreement. Is this a negotiation masterclass? Are we learning how to, close the deal? Is this about getting to yes?
Right. That is the default assumption. In our culture, agreement is usually framed as a success metric. Did we reach an agreement? Did we sign the contract? Did we, shake hands? We view agreement as the destination, the goal.
Exactly. But this source just flips that completely on its head. This isn't about how to get other people to agree with you. This is a deep, and I have to say, a somewhat uncomfortable look at why you agree with others. And specifically, why you agree when every single alarm bell in your body is just screaming, no.
It's the psychology of the yes, but not the yes of enthusiasm or alignment. We're talking about the yes of capitulation. And I think the mission for this deep dive is really to explore a reality that I think many of our listeners are going to recognize immediately, especially the ones who identify as, the helpers or the high performers.
It's the reality that what we so often call kindness or flexibility or just being a good team player is actually a mask. It's a costume we wear.
And so we have to ask the question, what is under the mask? If we strip away the nice guy or nice girl persona, what is the engine that's actually driving that behavior?
And the source argues that the engine isn't generosity. It isn't benevolence. It's fear.
That is the core thesis.
Yeah.
And it's a confronting one.
It is very confronting. There is a line in the source that I think we just need to put on the table right now. It really is the anchor for this whole conversation. The source says, saying yes is usually framed as kindness, flexibility, or being easy to work with. Sometimes it's just fear in better packaging.
Fear and better packaging. I both love and hate that phrase all at the same time.
It's visceral, isn't it? It lands.
It is. Because we love the packaging. We are obsessed with the packaging. Think about how much energy we spend curating the packaging of our lives. We curate our resumes to look competent. We curate our social media to look happy. And this source is suggesting that we curate our yeses to look virtuous, when really they're just panic buttons.
So just to set the expectations for you listening, this is not going to be a productivity hack episode. We aren't going to give you the 3-step framework for declining meetings.
Please know, the world does not need another listicle on how to manage your calendar. This isn't about time management. This is about emotional management. It's a compassionate excavation of the human need to belong and how that need gets weaponized against our own boundaries.
I really like that word you used, compassionate, because it's so easy to beat yourself up about this. It's easy to realize you're a people pleaser and then just feel this wave of shame about it.
Which is completely counterproductive.
Sure.
The goal here isn't to make you feel bad about being nice. The goal is to help you distinguish between nice and frightened.
Okay, so we have a roadmap. We're going to break down what the source calls the hidden drivers of agreement, discomfort, guilt, and the need to be liked. Also going to talk about how conflict avoidance isn't just a personality trait, but it's an active decision maker in your life. And we're going to try to define the difference between an anxious yes and what the source calls a clear yes.
That distinction right there, anxious versus clear, that is the holy grail. If we can get you to feel that difference in your body by the end of this hour, then I think we've done our job.
All right, let's dive in. Section 1. The packaging of yes. So the source talks about how we frame yes socially. We have these labels, right? Kindness, flexibility, being easy to work with.
Yeah, these are the cardinal virtues of the modern workplace and really of modern society.
And they're good things. I mean, I want to be kind. I want to be flexible. I certainly don't want to be known as the guy who's difficult to work with.
Of course not. And that is precisely why the trap is so effective.
Yeah.
It's a honey trap. If the trap looked like a trap, if saying yes felt like weakness or cowardice,
Yeah.
you wouldn't do it. You have dignity. You wouldn't wake up and say, you know what, I think I'll be a doormat today.
Right. If I knew I was being cowardly, I'd stop. But if I think I'm being generous, well, then I'll probably double down on it.
Exactly. We cloak the fear in virtue. Let's just take kindness. This is the big one. We are conditioned from a very young age to believe that saying yes is the kind thing to do. If you ask for a toy and I give it to you, I am a nice child. If I keep it, I am selfish.
And we carry that exact same playground logic right into the boardroom, don't we? If you ask me to take on a project and I say yes, I am helping you, I'm a kind colleague. If I say no, I am rejecting you, and rejection just feels mean.
Yes, we conflate the request with the relationship. This is a critical error in our thinking. We think, if I say no to the task, I am saying no to the person, that I'm invalidating you, that I'm signaling that I don't care about your struggle or your stress. So to prove that I care about you, the person, I have to accept the task, regardless of my own capacity.
It's a very messy tangling of wires. It's like we've wired logistics directly to love.
That is a perfect way to put it. We have wired logistics to love. And then there's flexibility. Oh man, flexibility.
It's a corporate buzzword to end all buzzwords.
It really is. If you look at any job description, what's in the top 3 requirements for almost every single role? Must be adaptable, must work well in a fast-paced environment, must be flexible.
Which is often just code for must be willing to abandon your plans at a moment's notice because we as a company are disorganized.
Often, yes. And the internal pressure is so real. If you are the person who says, actually, that timeline doesn't work for me, or I can't make that 6:00 p.m. meeting, you aren't just seen as busy. You risk being labeled as rigid, as a blocker. You're not agile.
And in an economy that feels, I don't know, precarious a lot of the time, being seen as rigid feels dangerous.
It feels like an existential threat. So we perform flexibility. We say, sure, not because we are actually flexible, we might be snapping in half internally, but because we are terrified of looking brittle, of looking like we can't hack it.
And that's the better packaging again. We wrap our fear of obsolescence, our fear of being replaced, in the shiny paper of agility.
And then the third one the source brings up, being easy to work with. This is just the path of least resistance.
I feel this one deeply. I think a lot of us do. Life is hard. Conflict is draining. If I could just be the person who is low maintenance, the one who never causes a problem, maybe I'll be safe. It's a survival strategy. It comes from a very logical place. If I am no trouble, they will keep me around. If I am easy, they will love me. But the source is asking us to look at the cost of being easy. If yes equals kindness, then no must equal mean. If yes equals team player, then no must equal saboteur.
The binary is rigged from the start.
The binary is completely rigged. And because it's rigged, we don't even consider no as a viable option. It's off the table before the conversation even starts. We aren't making a choice. We are just following a script.
So I want to ask you, the listener, to just do a quick mental audit right here. Think about a recent time you said yes to something you really didn't want to do. Maybe it was a social event you were just too tired for. Maybe it was helping a friend move when your back was already hurting. Maybe it was that one extra slide deck at work on a Friday afternoon.
And try to visualize that moment. The specific moment the request hung in the air right before you answered.
When you said yes, was it because you genuinely wanted to offer your time and energy? Was it a gift? Or was it because the idea of saying no made your stomach turn over?
Was it generosity, or was it the better packaging of fear?
That is the question. And to really answer it, we have to look under the hood. We have to look at the engine. The source calls these the hidden drivers.
And there are 3 of them. And I would bet every single person listening has felt all 3 probably within the last week.
All right, section 2, the 3 hidden drivers. Discomfort, guilt, and the need to be liked. Let's take them one by one. Let's start with discomfort.
The source notes that people agree out of discomfort. And if we really, really analyze that, we're talking about a very specific physical sensation. We are talking about the pause.
The pause. Break down the pause for us. What is that?
Okay, so human conversation has a rhythm. It's syncopated. I speak, you speak, I ask, you answer. It's like a game of catch. If I throw you the ball, the request, and you just stand there holding it,
It gets weird really fast.
it gets weird fast. The rhythm breaks. That silence, it's not just empty air. In a social context, silence is tension. It feels heavy. It feels like friction.
It feels like the elevator stopped between floors and everyone is just suddenly looking at their shoes. That exact feeling.
Exactly. And your brain, which is at its core a social survival machine, hates that tension. It perceives that silence as a potential threat. Uh-oh, the connection is breaking. Uh-oh, they're waiting for my response. They're judging me.
So the yes isn't even about the task at all. The yes is a tool to break the silence.
Precisely. You are using the word yes to resolve the immediate social tension in the room. You want the ball out of your hands. You want the rhythm to restart. It's a reflex.
It's a magic trick. You say yes and poof, everyone smiles. The tension evaporates. The elevator starts moving again.
But look at the trade you just made. This is what fascinates me about this whole thing. You have traded short-term relief for long-term burden. You bought yourself a comfortable 5 seconds right now at the cost of hours or days of work later on.
That is such a bad deal. If you saw that on a contract, pay $10,000 now to avoid 5 seconds of awkwardness, you would laugh them out of the room.
Rationally, yes. But we don't experience the world rationally in that moment. We experience it somatically. We feel it in our nervous system. The urge to resolve the tension is visceral. It completely overrides the logic circuit in our brain.
So we are agreeing to make the feeling go away, not because we want to do the thing.
We are prioritizing the comfort of the interaction over the reality of the commitment every single time.
Okay, so that's discomfort. That's the reflex. The second driver is guilt. And this feels heavier to me. Discomfort is a moment. Guilt feels like a whole narrative you tell yourself.
It is a narrative. The source explicitly flags guilt, and this is the one that really hunts the learners, the high achievers, the people who pride themselves on being capable and reliable.
Well, I can handle it crew.
That's them, the I can handle it crew. Because for this group, the internal monologue is just full of shoulds. I should be able to do this. I should be helpful. A good friend should say yes.
If I was just better organized, I could do this. If I was smarter or faster, I wouldn't need to say no. You blame yourself for having limits.
Yes. The guilt weaponizes your own potential against you.
Mm-hmm.
It reframes the no, not as a simple logistical decision, I literally do not have the hours in the day, but as a moral failing. I am not good enough. I am letting them down.
That raises the stakes so incredibly high. If saying no means I'm a bad person or a weak person or a lazy person, then I basically have to say yes. I'm being held hostage by my own ego.
Hostage by your own ego. That's very, very accurate. The source points out that this is often where the packaging is the thickest. We tell ourselves, I'm saying yes because I'm so dedicated and I care so much. But really, we are saying yes because we cannot bear the feeling of guilt that would wash over us if we were to decline.
So we're just managing our own shame.
We are managing our internal state by overcommitting our external reality. We are trying to outrun the feeling of being not enough.
Which is a race you can never, ever win, by the way.
You never win it. You just run until you collapse.
And that leads us to the third driver, the need to be liked. The source calls this yes as a transaction.
And this is perhaps the most fragile and dangerous foundation for agreement. When you say yes out of a need to be liked, you are essentially purchasing approval.
I will do this labor for you, and in exchange, you will validate me. You will like me.
You will think I'm great. You will tell other people I'm indispensable. It's a covert contract.
A covert contract. I like that phrase. Explain that a bit more.
A covert contract is an agreement where only one person knows the terms. You think, I am sacrificing my weekend for you, so you will owe me love or loyalty or at least a ton of gratitude. But you never say that out loud. You just say, sure, no problem, I'll do it.
So the other person just thinks you're willing. They have no idea about the contract.
They just think you're willing. They think, wow, what a nice, helpful person. They don't know they've just incurred a massive emotional debt.
And what happens when they don't pay up on that debt? Because they won't. They can't.
Resentment. Massive, toxic, corrosive resentment. You do the thing, you burn the midnight oil, you sacrifice, and they just say thanks and move on with their life.
Right.
Or worse, they have feedback. Hey, could you just change this one font?
And you just explode internally. After all I did for you, do you have any idea what I gave up for this?
Because they broke the contract they never knew they signed, you feel like a victim. But really, you set the trap for yourself. You tried to buy love with labor, and the currency didn't convert.
So we have discomfort, which is the reflex, guilt, the moral failing, and likability, the transaction. These are the drivers. But the source goes deeper. It talks about how this isn't just about individual decisions. It says, and I'm quoting here, how avoidance of conflict quietly shapes decisions.
Section 3. Conflict avoidance as a decision maker. This is where we move from why I did it in the moment to how this thing is steering the entire ship of my life.
The word that really jumped out at me in that source text was quietly. Quietly shapes decisions. Because when I think of conflict, I think of noise, I think of yelling, I think of slamming doors.
Right. We think of conflict as an explosion. But the source is talking about conflict avoidance as more of a guidance system. It's the constant, tiny micro-corrections you make to your path to ensure the explosion never ever happens.
So it's not running away from a fight, it's steering around the mere possibility of a fight way down the road.
Exactly. Let's play this out. Imagine you are in a meeting. A new strategy is proposed. In your gut, based on your years of expertise, that it's a bad idea, it's going to fail, it's going to waste time and money.
Okay, so I have a professional duty to speak up, right? That's what I'm paid for.
Theoretically. But you also know that the person who proposed it is really sensitive. Or maybe they are your boss.
Yeah.
Or maybe the room is just tired and everyone clearly wants to go home. Your brain runs a lightning-fast simulation. If I say no or I disagree, what happens?
Resistance, friction, definitely some eye rolls. Maybe a long, drawn-out debate that I'm not in the mood for.
And your brain hates friction. It's designed to conserve energy. So before you even open your mouth, you edit the thought. You don't say, this is a disaster waiting to happen. You say, that's an interesting approach, let's explore it. Or you just nod. You say nothing.
And in that moment, who made the decision? Did I actually make it?
No. Conflict avoidance made the decision. You didn't evaluate the idea on its merits. You evaluated the social cost of challenging it. That is the quiet shaping.
That's terrifying because it means we aren't making decisions based on reality or facts. We are making decisions based on emotional weather. Is it safe to speak the truth right now?
And if you extrapolate that out, if an entire team or a whole family is operating on conflict avoidance, you get what's known as the Abilene paradox.
Oh, I love the Abilene paradox, but please remind everyone what that is.
It's a classic management parable. There's a family sitting on a porch in Coleman, Texas, on a blazing hot afternoon. It's miserable. One person, the father-in-law, says, hey, why don't we drive to Abilene for dinner? That's like a 53-mile trip. The next person thinks, that sounds absolutely miserable. It's hot and the car has no air conditioning, but I don't want to be a downer, so sure, sounds good. The third person thinks, well, if they both want to go, I guess I'll go along. I don't want to be the one to ruin it.
So they all pile into the car.
They all pile into the car. They drive through the heat and dust. They eat a terrible, mediocre meal at a cafeteria in Abilene. They drive all the way back, exhausted and irritable. And only then, when they're back on the porch, does someone finally admit, to be honest, I didn't actually want to go. And then everyone admits it. I didn't want to go either. I only went because I thought you all wanted to.
They took a trip to hell that nobody wanted to take because nobody was willing to risk a tiny moment of social conflict.
That is the anatomy of fearful agreement at scale. We are driving to Abilene every single day. We are launching products nobody believes in. We are attending parties nobody wants to be at. We are staying in jobs we hate because we are letting conflict avoidance spear the car.
And if the fear of conflict is the one shaping the decision, then the decision doesn't actually belong to you. It belongs to the fear.
You are a passenger in your own life.
And that leads us directly to the consequences, because you can't act like a passenger forever without eventually crashing the car.
Section 4. The consequence disconnection from self.
The source puts it in this really potent way. Saying yes too often slowly disconnects you from your own limits.
Slowly. That's the most dangerous word in that sentence.
It's not a cliff you fall off. It's a slope you slide down so gradually you don't even notice.
It's erosion. It's erosion. Think about your body signals and your intuition as a dashboard in a car. You have a fuel low light. You have a check engine light. You have a temperature gauge. When you say yes, when you mean no, you are essentially taking a little piece of black electrical tape and putting it over one of those dashboard lights.
I don't have time for that warning light right now. I have to be helpful. I have to be kind.
Exactly. You ignore the feeling of tiredness. You ignore the little flicker of resentment. You ignore that gut check that says, this is a bad idea. You do that once. Fine. The car still runs. You do that 1,000 times. You forget the lights are even there. The dashboard is just covered in tape.
You lose your proprioception, like your sense of where your body is in space.
You lose your proprioception for your own life. You literally stop knowing what you can handle. You look at a schedule that would kill a horse, and you feel nothing. No panic, no alarm, just a dull numbness.
Because you've severed the connection to the warning system.
And then, inevitably, the engine blows. You burn out, you get sick. You snap at your spouse or your kids over something tiny. And you say, I didn't see it coming. It came out of nowhere. But of course you didn't see it coming. You taped over all the lights 5 years ago.
And the source connects this loss of limits to a loss of honest identity. This is where it gets really philosophical and, frankly, a bit scary.
Because if you don't know your own limits, you cannot be honest with other people.
It's a functional impossibility. If I ask you, hey, can you carry this heavy rock across the field for me? And you have no idea how strong you are, any answer you give is just a guess.
And if you guess wrong, you're going to drop the rock.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to drop it on my foot.
Right. When we are disconnected from our limits, we consistently promise things we can't deliver. We commit to emotional labor we don't have the bandwidth for. We become, unintentionally, liars.
Yeah, it is a very harsh word. Liar. It is. But if you tell me you will do something, and you physically or emotionally cannot actually do it, you have presented a false reality to me. You've given me bad data that I'm now making my own plans based on.
This transitions us perfectly into Section 5, because we have to learn to distinguish between the false yes and the real yes. The source calls this anxious compliance versus authentic agreement.
And this is the skill we have to build. This is the muscle we have to train. The source says the goal is recognizing when agreement is coming from clarity and when it's coming from anxiety.
We need to learn to taste the difference. It's like becoming a sommelier.
We need to be sommeliers of our own yeses. Is this a cheap, sugary wine of fear, or is this a deep, grounded vintage of true willingness?
I love that. Okay, so let's deep dive on the anxious yes. Based on everything we've said, how does the anxious yes show up in the wild? How does it feel in the body?
The anxious yes is defined by urgency. That is the number one tell. It feels hot. It feels fast. Someone asks you a question, and you feel a spike of adrenaline, of cortisol. You feel like you need to answer right now.
It's the hot potato. Get this tension away from me. Yes, take it.
It is purely reactive. You are reacting to the pressure of the room, to the expectation in their eyes. You aren't consulting your calendar. You aren't consulting your energy levels. You aren't consulting your own desires. You are just trying to survive the moment.
And the relief you feel is instant, but it's so short-lived.
The relief lasts exactly as long as it takes for you to say the word yes.
Right.
And then, almost immediately, the dread sets in. The buyer's remorse. The, oh God, what have I done? Feeling.
We have all been there. The post-yes regret, it's a real thing.
Now let's contrast that with the clear yes, or what the source calls the authentic yes.
How does that one feel?
The authentic yes is grounded.
Yeah.
It's slow. There's a pause, but it's not a panicked, awkward pause. It's a thoughtful, intentional pause. You are actually checking inside. You're accessing your own internal data. Do I have time for this? Do I have the resources? Do I actually want to do this?
You are engaging with the reality of the task, not just the emotion of the social awkwardness.
What? Exactly. When you give an authentic yes, you are visualizing the work. You are picturing yourself doing it, and you feel a sense of alignment, of rightness. And even if it's hard work, you can say an authentic yes to a very difficult task.
This is going to be hard, but I choose to do it. My resources align with this commitment. That feels so different from I have to do this or they will hate me.
Completely different. One is an act of empowerment. The other is an act of enslavement.
And this is where the source drops a hammer. It says, very simply, not every yes is honest.
This is the reframe of the century for so many people. We grow up thinking that honesty means not telling lies. If I didn't steal the cookie and I say I didn't steal the cookie, I am being honest.
Right. It's about factual accuracy.
But the source is arguing for a higher standard, for emotional accuracy. If I say, yes, I would love to help you move this weekend, but my internal state is, I am exhausted, and I deeply resent you for even asking, my words are factually agreeable, but they're emotionally false.
I am lying to you about who I am and what I want in this moment.
And that destroys intimacy, because you aren't interacting with me. You are interacting with my anxiety mask. You are interacting with my people-pleasing algorithm.
And you can't build a real, meaningful relationship with an algorithm.
You can't. If you want people to know the real you, you have to show them your edges. You have to show them where you end and they begin. And that means sometimes showing them your no.
Which brings us to the final barrier, the final fear, Section 6, dispelling the myth of selfishness. Because I know what you're thinking as you listen to this. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but if I start saying no, I'm going to be a jerk. I'm going to be selfish.
And the source anticipates this panic. It explicitly says, This isn't about becoming rigid or selfish.
We have to decouple the word boundaries from the word selfishness. They're not the same thing.
Let's do a thought experiment. Think about the most reliable, most trustworthy people you know. The people you would trust with your life. The people you would call from jail at 3 a.m. Do those people say yes to everything you ask?
No. Actually, no, not at all. The people I trust the most are the ones who will tell me the truth. If they can't do something, they tell me straight up, I'm sorry, I can't be there for that.
And because they are willing to say no, what happens when they say yes?
I believe them, 100%. I know they mean it, I know they have checked their own capacity, and they are going to show up. Their yes is solid.
Their yes has value because it is scarce, it is intentional, it is backed by the gold standard of their own integrity.
Versus the person who says yes to everyone.
Their yes is like hyperinflation currency. It's
Right.
basically worthless. You know they are overcommitted. You know they're probably going to flake or do a bad job or be miserable and resentful the whole time they're doing it.
So setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's actually the only way to be a truly reliable and generous person.
It is an act of service to the other person and to the work itself. By saying no when you need to, you are protecting the quality and the integrity of your yes.
You are putting on your own oxygen mask first, so you don't pass out in the aisle while trying to help everyone else.
Exactly. A burnt-out helper helps no one. A resentful volunteer poisons the well. A drained parent has nothing left to give.
So the source says the goal is simply recognition. We aren't trying to turn you into some kind of no machine.
No. That's just the other side of the same reactive coin. The goal is to get off the reactive coin altogether. We just want you to pause, to take one single breath before you answer. We want you to notice the engine revving inside. Is this discomfort? Is this guilt? Is this a need for approval? Or is this clarity?
Is this decision coming from fear or is it coming from fit?
If you can just ask that one question, you can change the entire trajectory of your life. You move from automatic agreement to intentional choice.
So let's bring this all home. We have covered a lot of ground today. We've looked at the packaging, how we dress up fear in the costume of kindness and flexibility.
We've looked at the hidden drivers, that trio of discomfort, guilt, and the need for likability.
We've seen how conflict avoidance quietly steers us all toward Abilene, toward destinations we never actually wanted to go to.
We've looked at the tremendous cost, the slow erosion of the self, the disconnection from our limits, the loss of an honest identity.
And we've found the way out learning to distinguish, to really feel the difference between the anxious yes and the authentic yes.
And realizing that honesty, true emotional honesty, is the greatest kindness you can possibly offer to yourself and to the people around you.
The source leaves us with that powerful idea that not every yes is honest. And based on that, we want to leave you with a question, a little homework for the soul, if you will.
It's a question to just sit with when the headphones come off when you're driving or walking the dog.
If you have been saying yes out of fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of being seen as difficult for years, or maybe even for decades.
Here's the question. Have the people in your life ever truly known you? Or have they only known your anxiety?
Have they been in a relationship with you, the actual person, with limits and needs and desires? Or have they been in a relationship with your coping mechanism?
That is a haunting question. But it's also the door to something better. Because if you start showing them who you really are, limits and all, you might find that the relationships that stay are the ones that actually matter.
That is the real deep dive. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Take care of yourselves.
We'll see you next time.